Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche Podcast, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, the number one rated sportsbook app out there. I had no idea that song was going to be thumping the bass that hard. I'm your host, Rudolph.
It came out hot.
Yeah, it was going hard. Joined as always by AJ Haefele. Yesterday, we talked about what I am calling the Southwestern division as a whole. Today, we're going to get into the top two teams in that division, at least on paper, maybe the third team as well. We'll talk about a little bit. We'll get into the Blues, too. But
I bet Californians love being considered the Southwest.
I mean, if you look at like the other divisions, you have the Canadian, you have the Southwest, you have the like Central Northeast, and then you have like the Southeast, right? It's the best I could do was call that the Southwest. So
okay,
I don't know. Relative to all the other divisions, they're in the Southwest. How about that?
I just think that I think when they first moved, they were in the Pacific.
Yeah.
And like this is their 25th anniversary, so it's like a 1 year running it back for the anniversary for them to go win the Pacific Division again.
There you go. Do it. So we've talked about Avs and Vegas being the best two teams in the division. We've talked about the potential for 7-game series, as at least an extended version of one happening over the course of a regular season. So we figured it would be interesting to break down the actual lineups, or, you know, as much of the lineups as we have of Colorado and Vegas. Obviously, the caveat we talked about Max Pacioretty being on the block yesterday. So Vegas's lineup could still change a bit. The Avs lineup is pretty much set. We'll see, you know, maybe Martin Kaut makes the lineup. Maybe it's Logan O'Connor as the 13th forward, whatever, but they're not going to be adding any other players at this point.
Right. That's really the conversation, is the depth forward and the depth defenseman, and what happens with Bowen Byram and Connor Timmins. Yep. Because I've been adamant all offseason Bowen Byram's going to be on this team and he's going to play.
Yep.
I believe that to be true still. I'm not getting gun shy and backing down now. I think that's going to happen. I think he's going to be on the team. I think he certainly gets the 9 games. Although, boy, does the 9-game sample certainly take on a bigger meaning when you only have 56 of them instead of 82 of them.
Yeah, that's 9 out of 82 is a little over 10%. 9 of 56 is like, I'm not good at math. It's not 20%,
yeah, I don't know,
but it's like close to 20. It's like 18% or something. I don't trust my math, but it's somewhere in that ballpark.
16.
16. All right. Yeah, there you go. But I mean, let's start here, AJ. What is the Avs' biggest advantage over Vegas, and why is it their top line?
It's easily Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah.
It like top line versus top line. Landeskog and Rantanen on the wing versus Pacioretty and Stone. Not a huge mismatch, to be honest with you. Different guys, different skill sets. Mark Stone, arguably the best two-way wing in the NHL today. Max Pacioretty, a consistent 30-goal scorer. Landeskog, the worst offensive player between all of them. Rantanen, arguably the best offensive player between all of them.
Yeah.
And then you look at the centers and Nathan McKinnon against William Karlsson.
Pretty easy pick there.
I like Wild Bill. William Karlsson's one of my favorite guys in the league, I think. But man, a top guy that I really enjoy and appreciate. I won't go as far as, I won't say favorite, but a guy I really like. Against Nathan McKinnon, I don't really like that much. That matchup that much. And like we talked about yesterday, Vegas' strength is in their wings.
Yep.
You know that, and then you second line, you have Riley Smith, Jonathan Marchessault, Alex Tuck on the third line. Alex Tuck on the third line, probably the best bottom 6 player between both teams.
Yeah.
But Colorado's second line, like Smith and Marchessault were good, but Brandon Saad and Andre Burakovsky.
Throw
I don't
Naz
know.
in the middle, and yeah.
I don't know who has the advantage there, but I definitely know that Nazem Kadri is better than whoever they're going to play at 2C right now. If it's Cody Glass, he still has everything to prove. If it's Chandler Stevenson, it's definitely Nazem Kadri.
So to solidify, the Avs wings are good enough at worst to keep up with Vegas, and then they have a massive advantage down the middle. Honestly, even in their bottom six.
Right. At center.
Say JT Compher and Edouard Bellemare, or Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, are your 3 and 4 Cs. You could throw Tyson Jost in that conversation too. I mean, right now, Vegas is playing Thomas Nosek as their 4C.
A fine player. Like, he's a fourth line guy.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's a distinct advantage for Colorado. But I don't see it as I don't see it as
not losing that battle. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't see it as a distinct advantage for either side, and that's problematic for Vegas when you're trying to figure out who gets better. You know, who's going to win over a playoff series, a 7-game playoff series? Who's the better team? I think it's tough to, when you start breaking it down, saying who's better at this and who's better at that. The big advantage walking in is Nathan MacKinnon.
And in Vegas's short tenure in the NHL, they have very much been a team that rolls 4 lines against you and tries to punish you in that regard. If the Avs are keeping up with Vegas top to bottom, every time Nathan MacKinnon steps on the ice is a significant advantage, right? So,
yeah, I mean, their depth guys are effective at what they do. I mean, you can't go back and watch any playoff game that Vegas had last year, and it's all about Ryan Reeves.
Yep.
Ryan Reeves all day long. It's just this endless parade of Ryan Reeves clips, who had 4 assists in 19 games, but because he's big and physical and mean and hits people are obsessed with him. And it's like, look, he's effective at what he does. All right, other teams hate him. He stirs the pot. He gets guys out of that, and
he's also had 1 15-point season and 1 20-point season in his career.
Right, like he's not out there to do that.
Yep.
And that's where if you're like, okay, Ryan Reeves or Tyson Jost, you know, there's going to be a skill advantage on one side and there's going to be a physicality advantage on the other.
For sure.
Whoever wins that matchup is going to play an important role in the series.
Yeah.
You know, and then getting Matt Calvert healthy for the playoffs would be the first. It hasn't happened yet in his first 2 years in Colorado. You know, he misses the end of the San Jose series and he misses most of this postseason this last year. You know, it's they need that guy. Like, he's an important heart and soul guy for them. He also plays an important role. I think the Avs are better depth prepared for the loss of a Calvert.
Yeah,
not 4 of them, but they're better prepared for that. And it's just a matter of actually using those guys. You know. Yeah. I mean, Zadorov's not.
Yeah, I don't think we need to have that conversation again on this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, Zadorov's the Avs defense is better. Moving out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Anyway. We'll get to the defense, which is a really interesting matchup. But up front at forward, it's Nathan MacKinnon smokes them, and to be honest, I just don't know what Vegas is planning to do down the middle.
It's a lot of faith in Cody Glass, man. Like you said, if he's not the truth,
yeah,
Vegas is in trouble. I really do think so. Because
we didn't plan the show out far enough to ask Ken to come on and talk about Vegas. We can easily do that at some point.
Yeah, if he wants to come on, he can break down
watch
our whole
this.
team. Yeah,
he can watch this, tell us why we're idiots, and then he can come on and we can do that. That's fine. We can reach out and ask him. We just didn't because we're at the point now where we're not planning shows into the future anymore because we can't.
We're just trying to go day to day, and when the NHL announces random stuff, we talk about that because who the heck knows what's going to happen next? So,
100%.
That's where it's at. Anyway, looking at the offense as a whole, the centers, the Avs definitely have an advantage in. The wings we're saying are probably even or relatively even. Maybe.
I would say it's real close to a push.
Yeah.
But if somebody decides that there's an advantage on either side,
you could probably make an argument for it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But it would not be significant. It would be nothing close to what Nathan MacKinnon brings them on at center.
Yeah, and I mean, at least for the Avs, that's certainly the key. Between MacKinnon and Kadri, that is two massive offensive play drivers for the Avs. That it's how they're gonna. Most of their points are gonna come through one of those two players. Yes, Rantanen and Landeskog will probably score more than Kadri. Certainly Rantanen, but MacKinnon will be involved in a lot of that.
Yeah, and it's not to take anything away from William Karlsson, who is a legitimately very good two-way center, but
MacKinnon's arguably the best player in the league. So
that's it. And MacKinnon defensively, when he puts the effort in, when he gives the honest effort,
we saw it.
Not too bad.
Had I don't want to call it a renaissance because MacKinnon's best defensive effort is solid, not great, but he played legitimate quality defense last year for a lot of the year.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be amazed by it, but it 100% was not hurting the team like it used to.
Yeah.
So
the point is to say that Karlsson and MacKinnon's defense at center
is a
hell of a lot closer than their offense.
True. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, I like that. Going to take our first period break. There we have DraftKings Sportsbook, our pick of the week, going with a bit of boxing action. I'm not a master of it. AJ knows a little bit more than I do. Anthony Joshua is fighting someone. I don't even really know his name, but we
tried to say his name and we were like, this is a disaster.
Yeah, it's first of all, it's me, so you already know the name's going to be wrong. And then secondly, it's like some Eastern Bloc country name or something like that. So I was just like, don't worry about that. Anthony Joshua with an odds boost was originally minus 330 to knock this dude out, and now is minus 230. So I'm taking the odds boost. I'm going with Anthony Joshua to knock a dude out. Why not? If you don't want to take the boxing option, you can always bet on UFC as well. DraftKings Sportsbook has an amazing boost for new members. If you use code DNVR when you sign up, you can triple your winnings on any bet for UFC 256. So jump on that, and you can also get up to $1,000 sign-up bonus. So, lots of money. DraftKings Sportsbook, just trying to give it to you. Sign up today. Head on over to DraftKings Sportsbook and, download the top-rated app. Do it on your computer, whatever's easy for you. They give you a bunch of different ways to access their bets. They have bets on pretty much every sport under the sun. There's a bunch of bets on cricket, which is something I know less about than boxing even. So if you want to bet on international test cricket, you can do that if that's your thing.
I swear to God, every time I try and get into cricket, I become more and more convinced that it's just Calvin Ball.
Right? Just make it up as you go, kind of.
I'm like, nope, this is total nonsense. You can't convince me otherwise.
Anyway, jump on over there. Get the $1,000 sign-up bonus for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. Bonus comprised of a first deposit bonus and a first bet match. Deposit bonus requires 25x playthrough. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. We did a whole show on the expansion draft where we drafted a team last week. I believe.
Yeah, he's talking about the expanded one that we talked about doing. If things.
Oh yeah, no, we haven't done anything about that yet. Given that the NHL decided they want to start next month, it might be tough to fit that one in.
Yeah, that was if things got pushed like a lot. Going from January 1st to January 13th was not enough of a delay for us to think about that yet. So we'll see. I would like to point out that the guy Anthony Joshua is fighting is nicknamed the Cobra, and he's from Bulgaria.
Cool. I was right about the country of origin, at least generally.
Yeah.
And I can say his nickname, so that's good. Should have gone with the Cobra.
Yeah. It's actually Cobrata.
Oh well, now you've ruined everything. Yeah, we're out the window again.
Stands for the Cobra. Or means the Cobra. So that's cool.
It's about to be a sleeping Cobra.
Yeah, well, he's 39, so this is about to go into a permanent sleep.
Jeez. He took that fight at 39, huh?
I mean,
I guess Mike Tyson just fought, right? So
probably pretty good money.
True. All right. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Let's get into the defense here. We already said the Avs defense made themselves better over the offseason, but Vegas went out and got Alex Pietrangelo. One of the best defensemen in the league, certainly. Does the Avs stack up okay? I think we've agreed over the offseason, their Avs, or rather for the Avs, their top pairing is coming.
Yeah.
They don't have a true one yet.
Right. 3 years from now, when Bowen Byram and Cale Makar have been a pairing for 2 years and they're shredding the NHL, this won't be a conversation anymore, especially when Alex Pietrangelo is like 33 or 34.
Yeah, getting up there at that point.
And making just under $9 million. Like, this won't be a conversation anymore. But as of today, they haven't proven it yet. I mean, we don't even walk right now. We're talking about Ryan Graves as Cale Makar's partner still.
Yep.
Which, and I always say this because I'm afraid of Nova Scotia getting mad at me again, because that sucked when that happened for like 3 days. It's no disrespect to Ryan Graves, but Devon Taves, Sam Girard, Bowen Byram, one of those guys has to take that job.
Yep.
Permanently.
Agreed. There needs to be at least one guy that they can rely on to play big minutes every single night next to Cale Makar or otherwise, certainly on the defensive side, PK as well, whatever you want out of them. The Avs are just fine doing what they do, where they mix their lines on any given night. Any of their top 6D could be their top minute man, just depending on situations. We saw that all the time last year. But it does feel, especially as EJ starts to get older, there needs to be something solid there to fall back on.
Yeah.
When you take Cale Makar plus whoever, pick your poison of whoever you want next to them. How does that match up against Vegas's top pair of Pietrangelo plus
Theodore?
Yeah, probably Theodore, I'm assuming.
I'm assuming as well.
So that's a very legit top pair in the NHL.
As far as top pairings in the NHL go, I would say it has to be top 5.
Yeah.
It's so good. And like their skills mesh perfectly. So this is a classic, like, Petrangelo's probably a little better defender than Theodore, but Theodore is very good offensively, as is Pietrangelo. They're both really good offensively, but Pietrangelo is probably a little better defender today than Theodore is, but they're both really good at moving pucks out.
Yep.
So as soon as either one of them gets it, the thing is gone, and it's really hard to set up shop against them because both of them have the ability to move pucks the way that they do. Anybody that tries dump and chase is going to really struggle against them. Anybody that tries to come in with speed through transition is they're both really good with active sticks, and they perfect on gap control. So you're gonna have a really hard time against that. It's an ideal top pairing. They have everything. There isn't really a weakness in that pairing, in my opinion. It's exactly the kind of top pairing that you dream about when. Yeah, I mean it's a better top pairing than almost all of the franchises that when we did our league-wide franchise redraft.
Yeah, and
that top pairing was better than probably almost all of them.
Yeah, and it's very much the same model that the Avs are trying to build, right? It's
absolutely
get pucks out of your own end. Yeah, the modern defensive style. So, Anthony Diaz, how much confidence do you have with Timmins considering his concussion history? I mean, we're assuming he's fully healthy, but the Avs have said it themselves. They want to see him stay healthy for a season.
Yeah, it's not even his concussion, to be honest. Like, that's part of it, but he got dinged up with I think it was an ankle injury last year.
Yep.
You know, that he got dinged with that. He took an innocuous hit in the postseason and was done there. You know, like, the guy, he just hasn't proven the ability to stay healthy yet. It just hasn't happened. So he needs to do that. It's not even just the concussion. It's everything. You got to stay healthy. You can't be brittle in the AHL. You got to show up. And right now, Connor Timmins has done everything he needs to do as a hockey player to prove he belongs in the NHL. Availability is a skill, though, and it's the last one on his checkbox.
We can somewhere boxes and checks. It's somewhere in there.
Makes more sense in my head than it does to say it out loud.
Segueing that into second pair and depth defensemen. The thing about Vegas's defense is it drops off pretty darn quick after Pietrangelo and Theodore.
This is where the Nate Schmidt thing hurts them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what their plan on right defense is.
Yeah. So right now on their roster by Cat Friendly, they have 7D. Pietrangelo and Theodore, obviously. If we're saying that's the first pair, they have Martinez, Braden McNabb, Nick Holden, Carl Dahlstrom, all play the left side, and then Zach Whitecloud, who plays the right.
I'm assuming Zach Whitecloud's getting first crack at the right side on the third pairing.
Yeah.
And that this is just me making an assumption. I assume it'll probably be next to Nick Holden, which means that they've got to find the Martinez and McNabb are the next guys up here.
Yeah. Is one of them just going to play the right side, or what are they doing here?
Yeah, I guess I know Theodore's also played the right side. I think that if Theodore does play the right side and they roll with like a Martinez Pietrangelo and then a McNabb Theodore, they're probably more well-rounded.
Yeah, for sure.
But they lose the feather in their cap of having
the elite top pair then. Yeah.
Exactly.
And obviously in practice, I'm sure you'll see some line mixing on the defense there, but
yeah. McNabb's kind of the same guy he's always been. Like he's an okay defender who brings a real physical element.
Yep.
Alec Martinez has kind of dropped off.
He's slowed down
pretty hard.
Yeah.
And he's dropped off where he's more reputation right now than I'll just steal my own line. He's more reputation than reality.
Yeah.
Right now He doesn't drive any. He's never been an offensive guy. He doesn't drive any offense, and defensively, his
When you
results
lose
just aren't
that
great.
step, it's so hard to keep up defensively, man.
Yeah, and Braden McNabb has always just sort of been like, he's okay. Like, he's not a bad. I don't think he's a bad player, but he's not. He's not great. There's very little offense again, but defensively, he's okay. Like, he's solid.
It
If you're
feels a little bit like a couple years ago on the Avs defense when they were running pairings like Patrick Nemeth and Zadorov.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that in terms of on ice results, McNabb is pretty close defensively to what Girard brings, but
Sure.
they do it
Very different, yeah.
differently. But Girard is much better offensively.
Yeah, definitely.
And then Devon Taves, we don't really know where Devon Taves is going to fit on Colorado yet. And I think that's going to be the number one thing they have to use the regular season to figure out.
Yep. Is
where does he slot in? Because you now have a couple guys on the left side that you really want playing a lot of minutes, but if Ryan Graves is stapled next to Cale Makar still, then that pairing is obviously going to get played a lot. What do you do here? And then where is Bowen Byram fitting into this?
Yep.
Because Devon Taves, Bowen Byram as a pairing would be a lot of fun. But how good is it going to be?
And that's the question for the Avs as you get into their third pair as well. Look, we know certainly 4 players are locks for the lineup. Honestly, 5 players are probably locks for the lineup, assuming EJ's healthy. EJ, Girard, Makar, Graves, Taves are going to be in the lineup every single night. And then you have Bowen Byram and Ian Cole, which maybe you're running a bit of a rotation in that 6D spot or however you want to do it. So it depends on how things shake out. Obviously, we have to see what Byram brings in his 9 games. If he gets them, Ian Cole is 32 now, I think. So he's not exactly young. Who knows?
But he's coming on. I mean, credit to him though. He
great year. Yeah, absolutely great year.
He was so good last year during the regular season. Byram is left-handed, as almost all of these guys are at the moment. It's funny that Colorado's so flush on the right side with futures, but right now it's still Makar and Johnson, and that's it.
Yep. Someday Timmins.
And Barron and Hellison.
Yeah, that a little bit further away for those two, I think.
Yeah. just saying. I mean, we're 3 years from that conversation, but
true.
The Avs are gonna be the black sheep where they're just drowning in right-handed defensemen if all those guys work out, which they of course won't. But
you can get a lot of value if you have some extra right D though.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Straight up, man.
Working through those bottom pairs, we already said it's probably Holden and Zach Whitecloud for Vegas.
I feel pretty good about Whitecloud. He was really solid for them last year. Especially
Carl Dahlstrom as a 7th, sure, whatever.
Yeah. Whitecloud played more games in the postseason for them than he did in the regular season. He was rock solid for him.
Yep. So it seems pretty well set up for Vegas. Colorado is the one on the bottom where it's like, well, if you get your annual EJ injury, you can just play Byram every night. At what point do you have a conversation about Timmins making the team if he's healthy?
Yeah, well, and we've seen Ian Cole can play on the right side. He's comfortable with that. So if he wants to play next to Bowen Byram and Cole is like your ideal third pairing with the veteran and the kid.
Yep.
And like it's just the perfect mix that teams absolutely love. But then you're sitting Ryan Graves at that point.
Unless someone gets hurt, yeah.
Yeah, inevitably there will be an injury that will even that math up. But then even beyond that question is Connor Timmins. If he's healthy, he's an NHL player. They have to start getting him. He should not be in the AHL, in my opinion. I think he probably will be because they would prefer that he just play than not. But I think he should be sitting in Colorado.
I mean, I think this is true of Timmins and Kaut. And
100%. Those guys should be just practicing with the Avs as the scratches every night.
Yep. And the reason I think we're stressing it is because this is a bit of a new scenario for this Avs team and front office, is where they have a wealth of players and prospects now that they need to find ways to get games for.
Yeah.
So they have to find a way to get these players whatever they need to take the next step, or at least the opportunity to take the next step. If they take it, is up to them. But so that's kind of the defensive matchup between Colorado and Vegas for the most part.
The high end is definitely in Vegas's advantage. I think that middle pairing, if you're going head to head, assuming that they go Theodore Pietrangelo, I think the middle pairing has a decent. Let's say that it's Sam Girard and Eric Johnson.
Sure.
I think it's pretty close to a wash, man.
Yeah, it's a pretty sharp drop off for Vegas having the big top two, and
there could be like Colorado if they go Taves and Makar. That could be a dynamite pairing together, but Colorado also doesn't have traditional top pairing, second pairing.
Yeah, they're very, very fluid about it for sure.
That's one thing that Bednar, the guy whose name I'm totally Nolan Pratt, Bednar and Pratt have never really used. Well, I don't want to say never. They used Eric Johnson like that when they didn't have any other options, and since other options have presented themselves, they run a lot more situational than it's like.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been 2 shifts to get our top pairing back out there. Like it's not like that for the Avs.
It's we have an offensive zone face-off. Here's turn and burn, or this defensive zone face-off. We'll throw out EJ and Cole or something. Whatever. Yeah.
It's very situationally based, and the pairings they get put together and then they get broken up all the time during games because of things like face-offs and situation and different game situations that present themselves. So. It's that's where we have the big unknowns from Colorado is they have to work that out. I think the overall upside of Colorado's defense is probably higher than Vegas's, but Vegas's actual today, who they are right now in this moment that we're comfortable with, is probably better overall. They have clearly defined roles. They're very good at them. And they definitely pack that physical element that Colorado's defense will be lacking. Yeah. Although Colorado's defense will be able to outskate anybody.
Yeah.
You throw Taves and Byram onto that back end, and their ability to go and retrieve pucks and move them out is going to be unparalleled in the NHL.
I mean, that's the question.
Wow.
I think for me, too, especially if the Avs are playing Byram in their lineup, certainly Vegas has a significantly more experienced defense. White Cloud is kind of their one guy who doesn't have a ton of experience on that back end, whereas...
Yeah, he was really good, though.
Yeah.
And
I'm saying, look, Cale Makar is amazing. We all agree, but he still only played 1 year in the NHL.
Right.
So, I do think it's certainly interesting, but I do think you're probably right. Like you said, if the Avs are going to find an inefficiency there, it's probably on that middle pairing. So, we'll see.
And look, Bowen Byram is no automatic star in the NHL. The guy could get to the NHL and be totally lost and useless. So, as an unproven rookie, we just don't know what he's going to bring to the table. He's a total X factor. He could come in and blow the doors off of everybody, and this is a dumb conversation 6 months from now.
Yeah,
he could completely fall apart, and we're talking about Ryan Graves and Ian Cole as a playoff pairing.
It could go either way, 100%.
It's just a totally different world for us. It could be Bowen Byram and Connor Timmins as a playoff pairing. Like it wouldn't even take very much for something like that to happen.
Right. That's the magic of why they play the games, basically.
Right. That's the big unknown for Colorado's defense, though, is that it's still chock full of potential because it's just so young. Its most talented players are its youngest.
Yep.
And that makes them unpredictable, and it's tough to gauge that against a much more experienced and proven defense that Vegas has.
For sure. We're going to take
Shout
our
out to our guy here, Nelson, saying that he just found the pod. We love having you, man. It's awesome. It's awesome when people have found the pod over the last few months. You picked a good time to get interested in hockey, because
certainly Avs hockey.
Yeah, assuming that it's Avs related. I can't imagine we have too many people hanging around that aren't Avs peeps on some level.
Yeah. Take our second period break there for WGT Golf, our gaming sponsor. Coming up starting tomorrow through the weekend, we're hosting the Ball is Poppin' Classic over at Bandon Dunes. All country clubs can participate because we have 4 of them now, and anyone can win. So go over to DNVRgolf.com to download WGT Golf and search for DNVR4 to join our 4th clubhouse to get yourself entered into the closest to the whole challenge. Once you play the tournament, all you have to do is take a screenshot of your score and submit it either to the pinned tweet on DNVR Sports main account or email them into info@thednvr.com. Once you've entered to win, you're all good. We'll just choose a random raffle winner every week, and you get to pick the DNVR shirt or mask of your choice, and we'll ship it directly to you. We have a new course every weekend leading all the way up to Christmas. Winners get picked every Monday, so you got nothing to lose. You might as well play around with us, have a little fun, and maybe get some DNVR merch if you're lucky. Again, it's the Ball is Poppin' Classic over on Bandon Dunes. Should be up tomorrow night. So get in there, play a little bit of digital golf, win yourself a bunch of free stuff with WGT Golf. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche Podcast, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 rated sportsbook app out there. Let's talk about a divisive topic for the Colorado Avalanche. Special teams. That sigh pretty much sums it up. Vegas.
They were league average during the regular season last year, and they were a nightmare in the postseason.
Yep.
Done.
And, for comparison's sake, Vegas had a 22% power play to the Avs 19.1 in the regular season. But
so the difference of maybe 2 goals.
Sure. But the Avs penalty kill was 81.4%, and Vegas's penalty kill was atrocious at 76.6% last year. Bottom 5 in the league. Pietrangelo probably helps that, but it's a conversation we've had 100 times before. Giving the Avs offensive firepower, their power play should be very good. Given a team that has a weak penalty kill, you have to think in that matchup, the power play has to be a weapon for the Avs.
Yeah. I will also say that as much as we're dumping on the Avs power play, they were better in the postseason on the whole. They finished at 22.1%. The PK finished at 75%.
Yeah.
They switched in the playoffs last year because Vegas's power play was 18%, but their PK at 85%.
Yeah. So playoff hockey is something else, basically.
Yeah. They had Vegas had the second best PK of anybody that played at least 10 games.
And the one thing with the Avs is, if I remember correctly, their power play was certainly propped up a little bit by the Arizona series, and their PK got dumpstered by Dallas.
Yeah, the power play was certainly, the thing was that between the round robin and the Arizona series, the power play scored almost every game.
Yep.
And there were 2 instances where they scored 1 second after the power play had ended.
Yeah.
So they were in essence power play goals, but not statistically, like not in reality.
Sure.
But in practical terms, they were power play goals that didn't count as such. So the power play was really good up until the Dallas series, and then it completely fell apart.
Yep.
Completely.
So
And that's
Makes a big
bad.
difference. Yeah. Avs probably win that series if their power play is league average.
Honestly, if either one of those units was better, it didn't even have to be both.
Yep.
It just had to be one of those units. If the power play was just a little bit better, they had a power play in the third period with a 1-goal lead. If they score on that, it's a 2-goal game, and all of a sudden the whole dynamic of the game changes.
Yep.
Instead, they don't. Dallas scores, they tie the game.
The rest is history. Yeah.
And then the Nemesnikov Kiviranta thing happens.
Yep. It is what it is. Yeah, you can't change history, that's for sure. But
reliving it was just you could just see the horror in my eyes start to develop as I started thinking about it.
But I think particularly, as we talked about on yesterday's show or the day before's show, I forget, when you're the potential for playing this team 14 times, if you include the playoffs, whoever gets the edge on the special teams, it's going to matter.
It's definitely going to matter.
There's a lot that can be broken down when you go to film, when you look for weaknesses in special teams, I think. So I honestly, this goes beyond Avs versus Vegas. This goes to the entire league. I'm really curious how teams target that type of thing and how it plays out, especially with things like 3-game homestands against the same team and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting. We might see lower numbers on power plays than normal.
Yeah.
If teams are able to dedicate the kind of scouting resources that they use in the postseason to the regular season. And the reason they don't in the regular season is because you don't want to make any kind of major changes game to game. You do what you do.
Different team every night anyway.
Yeah. And while everybody kind of has variations of the same basic concept, when you start playing the same team over and over, then you can really start to pick it apart. I guarantee you by the end of the regular season, when they're playing teams for the 6th and 7th times, they'll
have some knowledge there for sure.
Yeah. There will be specific scouting things. The video coach will have very specific breakdowns of things that he brings to them.
I think a great example is plans. Yeah, a great example for the Avs is last year, the Nathan McKinnon point wrister that he scored on 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Is something I think definitely, if with enough film, teams could target that and at least know that it's coming, if not have a specific defense for it.
What made that thing so effective, though, is that he didn't do it all the time.
Right.
But when it worked, what happened was there were 4 bodies in front of the goal.
Well, right. That's exactly what I'm saying is if you get film of that and you start to understand the situations in which McKinnon does that, you can get the bodies clear. Give your goalie a lane to see it, because if a goalie sees that shot, it's never going in.
Yeah. And sometimes it's I would say the big difference there is that if a guy sees it on film and he's expecting it, they're going to be a lot more aggressive about trying to block it because it's not a hard shot.
Yeah, true.
It's just a shot where he just throws it at a spot because it just kind of floats its way on in there, and you're just like,
well, that worked, I guess.
That's real weird.
Yeah.
The first time it happened, we were like, and then by the 4th or 5th time in the year, it was like, well, he did it again. He keeps getting away with it. It's a thing that keeps working. Yeah, special teams, they're important. But I don't know. I always kind of write off the whole they have to be great on special teams. I always say I would rather have a good PK than a good power play.
I mean, look, you don't have to be great at anything if you get a W at the end of the day. That's all that matters, right?
God, the Avs in the postseason last year averaged 4 goals a game and gave up 2.73.
Imagine if they didn't have half their team injured.
I know we knew when it happened that this was going to be a season that we look back on with a major what-if conversation. Yep. But oh my God, what a 36.5 shots for per game against 27.5.
That's pretty wild.
Those numbers are better than what Tampa Bay had.
Yeah. And Tampa Bay got to play Dallas and cave them as well. So that AJ face sums it up right there, I think.
This is really frustrating me just to think about the fact that they should have been at least a conference finalist.
Yeah. Do we need to file a missing persons report for Connor from Dallas?
No. No, he's every Stars bro who got really amped up for the cup run, and then as soon as they lost, decided that he remembered he was a lifelong Dallas Cowboys fan.
Oh, that seems like the worst fate of the two, to be honest.
It absolutely is. The Stars have won a championship more recently.
Yeah.
The Dallas Cowboys have been the model franchise of mediocrity for 25 years.
So
it's insane to me that they got the moniker of America's team. Stupid.
I mean, I won't go there.
Yeah, there was a whole grenade that we could have just stepped on, and it was like, I guess a landmine. You don't step on grenades. I guess if you do, you only do
step on a grenade. But probably bad news. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
in any case, I think we're wrapping up today's show.
We didn't talk about goaltending.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's hard to talk about goaltending until we know if Lehner's healthy or not. But yeah,
a healthy Robin Lehner is the advantage Vegas. A healthy Lehner versus a healthy Grubauer is advantage Vegas. Though I don't think it's nearly as big an advantage as some Avs fans will tell you. Fleury against Grubauer, I think, is advantage Grubauer. Fleury against Francouz is, oh my God, why are we even here? What has happened? And getting any deeper than that just sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah. The third string goaltenders is, you can't even break that down on paper. You're just hoping for the best.
It's like Oscar Dansk, I think, is in Vegas, and then in Colorado
Adam Warner, maybe
Adam Warner or Hunter Miska at this point. Again, rolling those guys out. Okay. Oh my God, Hunter Miska's going to play in the playoffs, isn't he?
Oh God, don't even say that. So yeah, Lehner clearly the best goalie of any of them, but is he hurt? When will he get back? Who knows? Anyway, Vegas versus Avs expected to be the premier matchup in the Southwestern division.
Yeah, which means both teams will end up drafting in the top 5.
Right. Right.
And shortened seasons are chaotic.
It's chaos for sure.
They are chaotic. So they're everything that we think we know coming into this year. I will say the one thing that I think about this Colorado team is that they feel really well built top to bottom. So it would take insane injuries, which of course are always possible. It would take just a massive amount of underachievement team wide for them not to be pretty good.
Yeah, just to kind of tie things into where we started. If the Avs lose a center, assuming it's not Nathan McKinnon, obviously if you lose McKinnon, that's a huge problem. But
sure. If
the Avs lose a center, they have Shane Bowers just to come in and step up. If Vegas loses a center, they're in big, big trouble.
Yeah, it's like Nicolas Waugh.
Yeah, there's not a ton of excitement left for them at center beyond their top 4. And I guess they could do something crazy and like keep Krebs, but
yeah, I mean, keeping Krebs, if they rolled out Krebs this year, that would be interesting. But even a high pick like Jake Leschyshyn did not impress in the AHL much last year.
Yeah,
so they have work to do at that spot
for sure. So maybe a little bit of a depth nod to the Avs there as far as like injury possibilities, but
yeah, I mean Colorado can lose a center and then Jost probably steps in, right? Sure.
And then you
one
can
of
play
those
Kaut
jobs.
or whatever, yeah.
And then another injury at center. You have Bowers that can step in.
Yep.
So, and then after that, you have Sheldon Dries.
Which will get you by on the fourth line or whatever.
Yeah, which will get you benched because he only played like 5 minutes in those games they wasted on him.
Sure.
Anyway, point being that the Avs can survive a couple of injuries at center. It's not a challenge, universe. I'm just saying that they've planned for your shenaniganery to a point. You can only have so many.
Until they announce the 15-man taxi squad.
No, they don't. No team in the NHL is going to be like, all right, well, we're good at center. We're 9 deep. We're completely prepared for the apocalypse.
Yeah.
No. The fact that Colorado was 6 deep is rare enough. And we say that, but like, that's just in like guys that could be decent in your bottom 6.
Yeah,
if those guys need to play top 6. You immediately have a huge step back if JT Compher is in your top 6.
I mean,
and then,
look, it's one of those things, right? Like, if you lose Kadri, that hurts, but you can probably survive. If you lose McKinnon, it's a disaster. It just is.
Right. If your 4 centers are Compher, Jost, Belmar, and Bowers, like, you're not feeling great about your center depth. You're hating your life.
Right. Exactly.
You're like, great, we've successfully replaced our bottom 6 guys, but now our old bottom 6 guys are playing 20 minutes a night. That's not great.
Yeah. So hopefully the injuries don't stack up too much, but the Avs are as prepared as you can be. I guess we're going to get out of here for the day. Thank you, everyone watching, listening, however you consume the podcast, new or old. We appreciate all of you very, very much. Hockey is coming. It's going to happen eventually. So I'm excited. I hope you all are starting to get excited. We'll get out of here with Strava Craft Coffee, the CBD infused coffee that has really changed lives. It's got a bunch of different options for flavors. They had like the last one I had was the s'mores flavor, I believe it was. So bunch of very tasty flavors. You can go to StravaCraftCoffee.com and get 20% off when you use code DNVR20. It's been known to help many different aches and pains, migraines, IBS, joint pain, all that stuff, many more as well. So give it a try today, and you can subscribe on their website to save 20% on every single order you make. On that note, we are out of here. We will be back tomorrow for Free Skate Friday. Not sure what we're doing on that show. Something fun, I'm sure, but we will talk to you guys then.